Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to start working with class 25th. Um, as nobody has come yet, I'm going to start anyway. Now one is coming. So Kimberly is the first one. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello,
Good morning.
good morning. ¿Cómo está?
I hear you quite low. I'm going to turn it up. Okay. Hello, Kimberly. Hello. If the rest of the students, I'm going to start working with class number 25th. Um, the first activity that we're going to do is compare a little bit of life in the 70s and 80s. Okay, because in this unit we're going to see the differences of life in general. Kimberly, for what you know, have you heard anything about the 70s or the 80s? For example, your parents, how old are they?
My mom is like around 55.
How old? Sorry?
55.
35? 55?
55.
55.
Yes.
Okay. So she's 10 years less than me. So she could know a little bit about the 70s. Have she ever told you anything about that age, that epoch, what she lived, how life was then? What have you heard about it?
Mm, she's always telling me that music was very different back then, and the way they would dance, it would be different from what we know today.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess music, technology, and all of that was a lot different from now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, technology, I think, is probably the main difference between uh, past years and now. All right, technology is nowadays so important in our lives, but in those years, technology was not important. I mean, there was no technology. Has she told you about the way, for example, she used to go to parties, uh, the way she used to socialize with friends, the way people used to have a relationship, like have a boyfriend or girlfriend, etc. Has she told you anything about that?
Yeah, she told me that parties were a lot different from now, and that they would go all together in a group, not separately. So she would go with her cousins and all of that, and that they will only last till like 12 a.m. and that's it, from like 10 to 12.
Yeah. Okay. Well, um, I think that the main difference in parties, was that parties were at homes first of all. Okay, nowadays, if you want to go to a party, normally you don't stay at home. You go to a pub, you go to a club, and then they celebrate in there. For example, birthdays. Nowadays, your birthday is celebrated. If you want something with family, you have tea, with your family, and that's it. But if you want to celebrate with your friends, usually you do not invite them. You go to a place, probably you rent that place, and then everybody goes and they bring, I don't know, um, drinks or whatever. Okay, so it's kind of a different thing. In the past, the parties were usually at home, usually in the neighborhood, and you have to take something with you, like they were called malones, and you have to take usually men had to take some drinks or the drinks, and women had to take things to eat. That was kind of the general idea about that. Now, in terms of how things have changed for women, for example, did Ashi told you anything about that, Kimberly?
Yes,
Kimberly?
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything
Mm,
about the way women used to live in those days? Is there any difference?
um, yes, I feel like it's more, women have become more independent now, and that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And before, they would just depend their economy and all of that and their lifestyle on males.
Yeah.
And so even though they had some of them, like my grandmother, she had like a job, but it was an informal job. She didn't have the possibility to have a more stable job in which with a contract and all of that because it was difficult back then.
Hmm. Yeah. Usually, for example, there were some things that women couldn't do. Now I'm not talking about the 70s because 70s is quite closer, but in the past, meaning last century, the beginning of the last century, in the 20th century, uh, at the beginning of the 1900s, women, for example, couldn't vote yet, and they usually had to stay home. They usually didn't work, and usually men and they had to have like two jobs in order to bring money for the house. So life was totally different for women. And that is something that is true. Things have changed a lot, although we know that there are many things that should change. Are you satisfied with the way women are treated right now, or do you have any comments about that, Kimberly?
Well, I think that still we can see a big difference between males and females, such as the income that
Salaries,
females,
yeah.
yeah, the salaries that females make. And there's a huge difference. So I think that sucks. And well, obviously more differences and like crimes that that the government just doesn't care anymore because like who cares? It's just women, right? And I feel like that's sort of their view on it.
Yeah, there are certain things that are unfair with women. But one positive thing about that is that, for example, uh, the differences are usually in the private jobs, because in the public jobs there is a scale, and everybody earn the same. That means men or women, because there is a scale, a regular scale. So if you work as a, I don't know, as a secretary in a public office, you are going to work the same. So you're going to earn the same that a man who is a secretary. Okay, so in that case, it is much better now because the public scale of salaries is equal for everyone. So, but in the private way, in the private jobs, yeah, there are differences. They usually hire a man instead of a woman. And why do you think that happens? Why do you think that sometimes in factories or industries or in offices which are private, they prefer to hire a man than a woman? Is it just because it's a prejudice, or is there any reason why they do that?
I think it's more of like a prejudice because sometimes they just don't really have any explanation to that. They just say that the job is more for a guy because they have the strength for it. And I don't know, I think that it's not fair.
Okay.
So,
Would you like to work in a job that is, or have you ever dreamed about working in a job that is um, regularly performed by men?
mm, I never really thought of it, to
Mhm.
be honest.
Yeah. Okay. For example, would you like to drive a bus? For example, do you think that it's normal to drive a bus for a woman?
Yes, it's normal.
Yeah. All right. It's not very often, but nowadays that is happening more and more, and that is
I think
very positive.
I think here in our country it's not common, but in other places it's very common to find women that drive buses.
I remember that once in States I saw many women driving, and old women. That is caught my attention. For example, I remember that once we went with Miss Patty and Miss Cecilia. We went to a university in Canada, and inside the campus, there, I mean, they moved. Students moved in but in by buses. You have to take the bus to go from one faculty to another one, and usually there were women driving, and not only women, but also women and old women. So that were two positive things, that the buses were, driven by women, and also that the buses and those women were, third age women, usually over 65 years old. And that is very positive. I think that now we have in Chile or in Latin America, we have to start doing that. But I've seen, for example, that nowadays there are many uh, women driving cars, for example, like in their own cars, like for example in Cabify, or what is the other application that you Cabify, and what is the most typical one? Uber. Uber. You can see lots of women doing that. Okay, but that is positive. Well, in general, there are many differences in the way life has evolved. Um, but one of the things that I consider more important is I think that the other day we were talking about that, Kimberly, about the speed of life. Do you agree with me in that aspect?
Can you repeat the last part? Talking about what?
That the speed of life is fast now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
In the past, we used to take things calmer. I mean, we took our times, but nowadays things are for yesterday. Okay, so they give you a special job, and you have to have it ready yesterday. So you don't have any time sometimes to think about the things, and so you are all the time working and working and working. And there is another thing that I consider important. It's that nowadays people, I mean, we have some misconceptions about life and work. Okay, what is better, to live or to work? Work to
What
live
is
or live to work?
misconception?
Huh?
What is misconception?
Misconception is a wrong idea, I think, according to what I think. A misconception is something that you think is incorrect. Okay, for me, it's a misconception. It's incorrect. Some people uh, have privileges in the sense that give privileges to work instead of living, and I think that that is not correct. And now, the thing that we are doing now at this moment, working online, has emphasized that, because as we don't have anything to do, like going out, going shopping, or going to a restaurant, or having a cup of coffee with your friends, have a meeting, so we enjoy working. So I have realized that in my case, for example, and I know that in many teachers' lives, things are now just we wake up in the morning and we start working immediately. You take a shower and you start working. You get into the computer and you start working, working, working. Then you stop for lunch, and then you continue working in the afternoon. Then you stop for tea, and then you continue working until night. Okay, so I think that that's not correct. I mean, it's a silly thing. But this moment that we're living, in which we are, stranded, enclosed in our houses, is making you do that thing, more than before. What about you, Kimberly?
I agree with what you said.
Mhm.
Um, I see it in my family as well. They are just working because they don't have anything else to do. So it's like they cannot be without a routine. And it's normal. I feel like everybody's super stressed. So it's okay to take care of things that make your mind go away.
Do you think that young people are doing the same? Is it the same for young people? Because I'm talking about people who are working officially like us. I mean, for a salary. But what about young people? What do you think that how how are they coping with this situation?
Yeah, I think most people are um, doing the same thing. They're just trying to keep their mind busy either with um, like studying or with helping in their homes or having free time to watch movies, series, or to binge watching series and stuff like that because that's how they take their minds off things that are happening.
What are you doing now to get out of this, situation? In your case,
Well,
especially.
mm, I try to keep my mind busy with studying, of course, and also I have like a online job as well, so I'm doing that.
Mhm. Do you give certain times to do like study things, or you just when you feel like doing it, you do it?
No, I have a schedule.
Ah, you have a schedule, and that is good. Yeah, yeah. Well, this is something that we are living. I mean, our lives have changed. In fact, we've been changing lately. Um, so that is something that I would like to talk to you about, the differences in the past with now. Okay. Another thing that I consider, which is a misconception also, as I told you before, is that in our society, people who do not work as a slave is considered is considered a lazy person. Okay. So sometimes we have on our minds that we have to work, we have to work, we have to work, and we never rest because other people think that if you're resting, you are doing nothing, you're lazy. Okay, so and that is another misconception. So doing nothing is sometimes something that you need. I mean, think about something, lie on the beach, I don't know, or sleep for a moment. No, this guy is lazy because he's not working all the time. Okay, so it is something that sometimes we misunderstand. Do you agree with me, Kimberly?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Tiare? How we were talking about the way we are living this pandemic thing, and that sometimes people who are working more, and people are getting stressed because as they don't have time to go out, they stay home and they are all the time working and working and working. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you have your own idea? How are you living this pandemic, Tiare?
I agree with you.
Hmm.
If you are done doing anything, people always think that you're a lazy person.
Yeah. All
If
right.
you've done a study, don't work,
Mhm.
whatever.
Okay, what about the way you are living this pandemic, Tiare? Because Kimberly told me that she has certain schedules, in order to leave time for her, which is something that normally, like people like me or like adults, you know, are not doing. For example, I see my wife; she works from early in the morning until late at night. In my case, it's the same. We're working and working because sometimes we don't have anything else to do. Okay, what about you? Are you working too much? Are you studying too much? Or do you leave certain time for you?
Um, in the morning, I have classes with you, and in the afternoon, I have to take care about my brothers until 10 o'clock
Yeah.
at
Okay.
night, all
Okay.
day.
Yeah, all day. But do you have fun with your brothers, or sometimes you get tired about it?
Sometimes I get tired because they fight a lot.
How old are they?
Um, 2 years and 7.
Yeah. Okay. 5 years difference. That's terrible. It's the same case with my
Yeah,
brother. My brother now is dead, but when we were kids, we used to fight a lot. We used to fight a lot, and we had 5 years difference. Okay, now my brother, if he were alive, he would be 70. Okay, so we became friends when we were young young adults, probably when we were teenagers. Yeah, like in the 70s, 17s, In that age, we started like being friends. But before that, it was terrible. So I think that my mom suffered a lot with us. Okay. But yeah, that you're right. Sometimes you have too many things to do, and that is our life nowadays. So if you don't do anything, if you don't do things, you are considered a lazy person. Okay, we're going to do the reading from the book, and the reading is connected a little bit with the style of life. We're going to talk about coffee. Yeah, coffee and the caffeine. Uh, so now it is very common that people have a coffee in the morning, a coffee in the middle of the morning. They get together with friends to have a coffee. They enjoy coffee a lot. What happens to you? Do you like coffee? Do you like to get together with a coffee? Kimberly, in your case, for example?
I'm not really a big fan of coffee, but I enjoy during the summertime. I would get like those iced coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Those are really good.
How do you prepare the iced coffee?
Well, I didn't know. I don't know how to prepare it. I just got it from Dunkin'
But
Donuts.
is there a difference with the regular coffee?
um,
The regular coffee you have to boil
I
the water,
remember one.
or is it do you put like coffee and then some ice cubes and then water? I don't know how to do. Have you
I
ever?
remember once when I worked in a coffee shop.
Yeah,
We had to do those iced coffee, and it was like a machine. Es como esa cafetera, no sé, como esa cafetera muy, like they have a strong coffee, like the
yeah,
beans, the coffee beans, and that machine would mash it up, and then you would put it in like the mixer
yeah.
and with the blender, and with ice cubes, a little bit of milk, and the coffee,
Oh,
and
that's
then
nice. I like it.
everything would go in the blender, and then you would have it. You would just have to add the sugar and then the whipped cream on top.
Okay, you like it. And when you get with friends, Kimberly, do you have coffee? Do you have tea? Or do you have a drink, for example? What is the way you
And
socialize?
we probably just get something to eat. We don't get like coffee or anything like that.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Tiare? Do you like coffee? Do you drink coffee?
There's some time, but I prefer tea, to
You prefer?
drink tea.
Yeah, all right. One thing, the other day I was reading about coffee and caffeine, and they say that it's good for this pandemic, for the coronavirus. It is good to drink coffee. I don't know why. I don't know why. The guy said that it has certain, benefits that protect you from the coronavirus. So if I was a fan of coffee, now I am more I am more for coffee, as you can see, I have my cup, but in fact, all the time I drink a lot of coffee, all the time. And Thierry, when you have a friends meeting, what is what you drink, or do you eat like only eat with like Kimberly?
We eat ice cream or sushi.
Okay, sushi. I don't like sushi. I don't like the rice like it is like wet. I don't like
It's
that.
good.
Probably I haven't eaten the right sushi, or the sushi was not very very well prepared. Probably I don't know, but I usually don't like sushi. Whenever I've tried sushi, no, it's not for me. But I've seen that people love sushi. Everywhere I go, people love sushi. Well, anyway, so we're going to read a little bit about caffeine and about coffee, okay? So let's take a look at it. Oh, I can't. I have to share. I always forget that I have to share the screen, not reduce it. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Slide 4. So we're going to read something about caffeine and coffee. For me, is you have to talk coffee. I usually get together with my friends when I am on vacation, and we go to a coffee shop and we drink a cup of coffee and we talk, and I enjoy that. That is one of the things that I miss the most now. That I am missing the most now. Okay, and you have the title in here: A Caffeine Fueled World. How do you understand that, Kimberly? If you had to explain to me, because a person who doesn't know English, or who knows little English, is not going to understand that. How
I
could you
think it
explain?
means. I think it means how it gives you energy.
Yeah, yeah. In a
Like
world in a world in which we work so much, we need a lot of energy. And what are the characteristic of caffeine? Can you mention, without reading this yet, are there any characteristic of caffeine?
You told us last time, but I forgot.
What about you, Thierry? Do you know any characteristic of caffeine?
You will stay wake up.
Okay, it keeps us alive, it keeps us awake. Yeah, it keeps us awake. Whenever you drink coffee, especially at night, they say that sometimes you cannot sleep. Well, in my case, for example, I sleep anyway. Okay, I usually drink coffee with my wife when we're watching a video or something. Now I am watching dark, but I fall asleep in the middle of the of the series. It's kind of complicated. Have you seen Dark? Any of you? Have you seen that series, Dark? Kimberly, have you?
Can you repeat the question?
You have seen Dark, the series.
No, I've heard a lot of things about it, but I'm not really into series anymore.
Yeah, okay, but as I was telling, and I'm watching that series, and I usually fall asleep in between, in the middle of it, because it's kind of a slow. But anyway, I drink coffee and I fall asleep anyway. But some people say that if you drink caffeine, if you have a Coke or if you drink coffee at night, you cannot sleep. Some people use it to study, for example, to keep awake during the night. So, yeah, you're right. One of the things that provokes caffeine is that it it doesn't allow you to go to sleep. Okay. Now, in here, I'm going to read some questions that probably we have already answered when we were talking with this conversation. We probably already answered this. It says, is your lifestyle very different from that of your parents' generation? In what ways? Okay, we were talking about that. Okay, parties were different. The way you dated was different. Okay, lots of things were different. Now, then says, what kind of comments do people in your age group make about work and relations? We did that. Now, the third one is, how much tea, coffee, or other beverages do you drink in a normal day? None of you drink a lot of coffee. Usually young people still don't drink a lot of coffee. For example, when you study, do you study at night, Kimberly, or Tiare? First, Tiare, do you study at night?
Yes,
What time is
and sometimes in the day.
Sorry?
In the afternoon too.
Yeah, but what is the latest time that you study?
11.
11 at night. Okay, do you
Yes.
know that when we were studying with Miss Patty, we had a group of study with Patty, Miss Hortensia Padovani sometimes came to our group, but because she was already a mother at the time, and she had to take care of her children, and then she incorporated to our group. And another friend who is not working with us now, Angelica, and me. So we were 3 or 4, and we usually studied all night. We started studying like at 10 o'clock in the evening, and then we stopped like at 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. Then we sleep for a little while, and then we went back to the university. We were at that time, we used to study at that time, and we drank a lot of coffee. Okay, we drank like 3 or 4 cups during the night in order to be awake. Okay, so that was kind of something that we used to do. Okay, so coffee in our society is necessary because it gives you energy to continue working and to continue doing things. Okay, so now we're going to read the article and we're going to see something about it. Okay, here is the article. So I want you to read from the very beginning. Kimberly, start reading the first part. Over the centuries. Are you there, Kimberly? Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. Over the centuries, people have created many rituals to accompany the consumption of their favorite drinks, tea and coffee. Just think of the Japanese tea ceremony, British afternoon tea, or the morning coffee and coffee break ritual in countless societies. Why are these drinks so popular? The answer is their secret ingredient, caffeine. In the modern world, the new caffeine delivery systems are canned energy drinks,
Do you
and
understand that?
then
Wait, because let's try to comment on that. In the modern world, the new caffeine delivery systems are canned energy drinks. What do you understand by that?
I think that is saying that energy drinks are more popular in our society
Yeah, and
than
the ones
coffee.
are in cans, right? The ones are in cans. Uh,
Yes, like
do you like those drinks, Kimberly?
yeah, I've just tried like once and I didn't really like it.
Yeah, okay. Which one did you try?
I tried Monster.
Yeah, okay. You didn't like it.
And no, I
Yeah.
didn't.
You know, when I drive, I drink those things just to drive because usually I fall asleep when I'm driving. Okay, so when I have long distance, like for example, when I go to the north or to the south, I start driving and I start like so it's pretty dangerous. So I drink those things. Okay, continue reading, please. And the more
Mm.
modern.
And the more modern our world gets, the more we seem to need caffeine. People have known for years that caffeinated drinks make you less tired and more alert. This dual power of caffeine to counteract physical fatigue and increase alertness is part of the reason why it is the world's most popular mood altering drug.
Look at
It
that.
is the
Look at that. Pay attention to that. It's the world's most popular mood-altering drug. So in one sense, this coffee or this caffeine or things that has caffeine are drugs, but they're accepted. All right. Okay, continue reading.
mm, it is the only habit forming physicoactive
Psychoactive.
psychoactive drug
Psychoactive.
we routinely serve to our children in all those soft drinks and chocolate bars. In fact, most babies in the developed world are born with traces of caffeine in their bodies.
Can you believe that? It's incredible. Okay, so not only coffee has caffeine, but also tea, soft drinks, chocolate bars, and all those things are accepted, although it is kind of a drug. Okay, Tiare, go on reading the next paragraph, please. Most people.
Most people don't think twice about their coffee intake. However, caffeine raises blood pressure and thus increases the risk of heart disease.
Okay, pay attention to some words in there which are kind of difficult. Tiare. Intake. Okay, the pronunciation caffeine intake. Do you understand intake?
No bebible, no lo sé.
The intake is when you drink something that you put inside your body. Intake, right? So it says here, most people don't think twice about their caffeine intake. We don't think about it. We just drink. We don't care. Okay, so sometimes it could be dangerous. Yeah. Then you have however caffeine raises blood. The pronunciation of sangre there is blood. The same as flood. Do you remember when you have like lots of water and then the city is flooded? Yeah, inundar, flood, sangre, blood. That is the pronunciation. Okay, so raises blood pressure and thus, therefore, increases the risk of heart disease. Okay, continue reading, Tiare. The widespread.
The widespread use of caffeine is now a cause for concern among scientists and public health officials. One result of this concern is that you are not allowed to sell energy drinks in France or Denmark,
Okay,
and in other
wait? Can you believe that? So people sometimes are not concerned, but in some cases they do. And for that reason, in Denmark and France, you are not allowed to sell energy drinks in France or Denmark. Okay, so it's kind of interesting. They don't sell those things because it's kind of a drug. Okay, continue reading. Another
European
Europe,
European
European.
European countries, manufacturers have to label cans with warnings.
Okay, to label is to put a label. Okay, a label could be, for example, that is a label, Nescafé, right? Or a label this way. To label es poner un mensaje, something, right? A message. That is to label. So now, if you sell those things, you have to put a label on the can with a warning. Okay, be careful with this, or something like that. Okay. Okay, continue reading, please. United States.
The United States has no such rule, but many canned energy drinks sold their carry warning anyway.
Okay.
On the other hand,
Wait. United States has no rules about it. Okay, but anyway, they put some, warnings anyway on the containers that sell things. Okay, continue reading. On the other hand,
much of the research suggests that caffeine may have health benefits. Studies have shown it helps relieve pain,
what is
reduce
relief? Do you
asthma,
understand? Relief? Do you understand that, Pierre? Relief?
alivia,
Right. Avoid, yeah?
um,
Protect you from pain. Okay, continue.
reduces
Reduces,
reduces
reduces.
asthma symptoms and increases reaction speed. Despite this, a study in
Ireland,
Ireland recommended that
Ireland, Ireland.
Ireland
Yes.
recommended that children and pregnant
Women.
women, among other groups, shouldn't drink energy drinks.
All right. Children and pregnant women, among other groups, shouldn't drink energy drinks. All right. Okay, Kimberly, continue reading. But we need
But we need coffee.
or.
Ujú. Mi internet es un poco malo, así que si me escuchan mal, porfa,
No,
díganme.
you're okay. Continue.
Okay. But we need coffee or Diet Coke or Red Bull to get us out of bed and back to work. For most of human existence, the pattern of sleeping and waking has followed sunrise and sunset, explains Charles
Okay.
Seitzler.
Pay attention to this. This is very interesting. Very interesting. It says, read this again, please, Kimberly.
But we need coffee or Diet Coke or Red Bull to get us out of bed and back to work. For most of human existence, the pattern of sleeping and waking has followed sunrise and sunset,
All right.
explains Charles something.
The idea of sleeping and waking up is connected to sunrise and sunset. The sunset when there is no light, or the sunrise when there is light. So in the past, I mean, we used to connect with that. Sunrise equals work. Sunset, stop working. Okay, that was the original idea. Continue reading now, Kimberly. A neuroscientist.
A neuroscientist at Harvard Medical School, then the way the work changed from a schedule built around the sun to an indoor job timed by a clock, and consequently humans had to adapt.
Okay, wait.
Electrified.
Stopping there. Okay, so at the beginning, the sun was the ruler of our job time, the sun. We work when there was sun, but now we are inside. We are not outside. So our schedule has changed in order to the clock. Clock is the one that rules the moments in which we work. Okay? So it could be late at night, like 10 o'clock in the evening, and we're still working because we have to finish. We don't care if there is sun or not. All right? So that's something that has changed our lives. Okay? Finish the paragraph, please, Kimberly.
Okay.
Electric light.
Let me see. Electric light and caffeinated food and drinks allowed people to follow a work schedule set by the clock, not by daylight or the natural sleep cycle. Therefore, without caffeine, the 24-hour society of the developed world simply couldn't exist.
Okay, interesting. See, in here, for example, follow a work schedule set by the clock. A work schedule set by the clock. It was not the schedule connected to the sun, but the clock. Okay, not by daylight or the natural sleep cycle. And we start like forgetting the sleep cycle. In the past, the sleep cycle says, for example, you have to go to bed at 8 o'clock and then sleep all night long until 6 o'clock in the morning. All right. So it was the sun that ruled our time of working. Nowadays, it's the clock. So we continue working until the clock says no. There is not connection with the light. Yeah, that's something. And then we're talking in here something which is very interesting: 24-hour society. The 24-hour society, that means that we do not rest. We normally do not rest. We are all the time moving, doing things, working, or else you are considered a lazy person. Okay? Okay, so to finish, Tiare, you read this little paragraph and then Kimberly finishes. Okay, Tiare, caffeine?
Caffeine helps people try to override the human rhythm that is in all of us, says Slater.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he says solemnly, there is a heavy, heavy price to pay for all this extra wakefulness. Without adequate sleep, the combination 8 hours of
The conventional
8 hours out of each 24 is about right. The human body will not function at its best physically, mentally, or emotionally.
All right. So if we don't sleep the 8 hours that are necessary for our body, we are not going to work normally. All right. Kimberly, finish with this final little paragraph.
But our caffeine use has created a downward spiral. People need caffeine to stay awake, but as Cicely points out, the main reason they can't stay awake is they don't get enough regular sleep because they use caffeine.
Okay, so this is, a vicious circle. You have to be awake, so you drink caffeine. And as you drink caffeine, you don't sleep well. But you don't sleep well because you drink coffee. Coffee is because you don't sleep. So it's kind of the same thing. You are round in there, right? So that is what they are saying. So if you had to reduce this in a few words, Tiare, for example, how could you tell me that what is the message of this reading for what you understood?
That we need caffeine in a energy drinks or a chocolate, but we need some caffeine.
We need caffeine. What for?
I don't know, para trabajar bien,
Yes, try to say it in English.
to work well,
All
and
right.
stay awake
Yeah.
at
Okay.
work.
So, but I would change one verb in in what you said. You said we need caffeine, right? I don't believe that we need caffeine. We use caffeine. to stay awake, which is different.
Yes.
Okay, we don't need the caffeine, and we don't need to be awake. We don't need to work all the time. Okay, that is we were talking at the beginning of the class with Kimberly about the misconception of life. One of the misconceptions that we have in our lives is that we have to work and work and work and work. If you don't work, you're considered a lazy person. So what you do in order to work more, you drink caffeine to be awake and to work more hours than necessary. So you are paying something for that. You are not sleeping well, so your life is not a good one because you don't sleep well. You need to sleep. Okay, it is bad to work so much, but now we don't understand that. That is the problem. That is the problem of our society, which is a 24-hour society, as it is said there, a 24-hour society. Anything else that you could say, Kimberly, about this? Okay, do you agree with what the message of the author is trying to give us?
I understand the message, but at the same time, I feel like it's very, very repetitive. It's the same thing all over again.
Yeah,
But I get it.
yeah, okay. And do you agree with it?
I sort of, I guess. I think so, but it's just that for me, it's kind of like I don't really uh, drink coffee, so it's kind of like I don't know about it. I
But
agree, and
are you a workaholic person? Do you
no,
consider
not really.
yourself a workaholic person?
No, just a normal.
Yeah, but things are going to change when you start working because many of us were different when you're not working. But when you start working, you get into this you know, like this idea that everybody has. You don't want to be considered a lazy person. You want to be considered a workaholic person. I mean, the idea of being a workaholic is better considered by society than a lazy person. So if you say, are you a workaholic? Yeah, I am a workaholic. I have to be a workaholic. You know, that is what they are forcing you to work too much. And this is the cause of the many of the depression that we have nowadays, the psychological problems that we have nowadays. Okay, so that is kind of the idea. Okay, now going back into the exercises that we have here, try to complete this, or let's do it. Yeah, for example, in here, you have two options. The article is about caffeine and children, daily life, or science. What is the article about? Caffeine and children, caffeine and daily life, caffeine and science.
Caffeine and
Mm,
daily life.
And daily life, yeah. Okay, now complete the sentences. Tea, coffee, soft drinks, energy drinks, and are all sources of caffeine. What is missing in there? They're mentioning tea, coffee, soft drinks, energy drinks, and what other is a source of caffeine?
chocolate.
Chocolate bars, right? Caffeine is classified as a psychoactive what? Psychoactive
Drug.
drug. That's right. In Europe, there are various regulations on the sale of drinks.
Caffeine,
Caffeine drinks could be
energy,
energy drinks. I would prefer that one. Modern lifestyles depend on caffeinated and what do you think it should go in there? Modern lifestyles depend on caffeinated food and drinks. Yeah, caffeinated food and drinks. Okay, and then caffeine changes the natural of the human body. The natural what of the human body? The natural cycle. the natural cycle. Okay, the normal cycle is you sleep at night, you work when there is daylight, right? But nowadays, our cycle is not like that. Some people work at night, study at night, and they sleep during the day. So our cycle is totally changed, right? So in order to do that, we need caffeine. Okay, that is the idea. Now, it says here, what are the effects of caffeine? Complete the table. Beneficial effects of caffeine: makes you less tired, makes you what? Makes you, how do you say that?
Awake.
Awake, okay. Relieves what?
Pain,
Relieves pain. Reduces asthma. Asthma
symptoms,
symptoms. I didn't know that. It's new for me. Increases what? Increases what? Well, increases your energy. Yeah, that is kind of the thing that.
increases
Huh? What?
increases reaction speed,
I couldn't hear Kimberly. Increases what?
reaction speed,
Yeah, could be. Yeah, reaction speed.
Her disease, ¿cómo se dice?
Diseases.
Diseases. Her
Some
diseases.
diseases, certain diseases, right? Now, harmful effects, negative effects of caffeine. It's mood altering. Yeah, it changes your mood. Sometimes when you drink too much coffee, you are kind of, you don't feel well, so you are in a bad mood. Is what? Raises what? Increases the of heart disease.
Risk.
Yeah, it's mood altering. Is, yeah, increases the risk of heart disease. Yeah. The other thing could be, I don't know, it's mood altering, is dangerous for your health, probably. Raises what? Raises your blood pressure. Your blood pressure. Okay. So people who drink too much coffee could have danger of a heart disease. Okay. If you have more pressure, then you can have a heart disease or a heart attack. Okay. Uh, okay. So in here, it is something that we have discussed. Um, how have people's working patterns changed nowadays? What happens nowadays, Kimberly? What patterns? What are the patterns nowadays in compared with the past?
this you mean like the speed of life, the speed of
Yeah,
life,
yeah. But one aspect is working. One aspect is working. Okay. One is one aspect is working. We have changed the way we worked, mainly because of the time, because of the speed in which we work, etc. And what we need in order to adapt to those changes, we need caffeine sometimes. Okay, so this is something that you will have to do uh, as homework. And I'm going to introduce what we're going to see in terms of a little bit of grammar. Okay, here it says language clues. Find words in the article that signal the following: introducing and contrasting ideas. In paragraph 2, introducing a consequence. Paragraph 2 and 3. You can do that at home, but let's take a look, just a little bit, just a little look. I'm going to read it and you tell me if there is a word that you consider a contrasting idea. Okay? Take a look at this. I'm going to read it pretty fast. It says, over the centuries, people have created many rituals to accompany the consumption of their favorite drinks, tea and coffee. Just think of the Japanese tea ceremony, British afternoon tea, or the morning coffee and coffee break ritual in countless societies. Why are these drinks so popular? The answer is their secret ingredient, caffeine. In the modern world, the new caffeine delivery systems are canned energy drinks. And the more modern our world gets, the more we seem to need caffeine. People have known for years that caffeinated drinks make you less tired and more alert. This dual power of caffeine to counteract physical fatigue and increase alertness is part of the reason why it's the world's most popular mood-altering drug. Continue. It is the only habit-forming psychoactive drug. About it. Sorry, I have to drink paragraph number 2 in here. I was reading the other one. Most people don't think twice about their caffeine intake. However, there you go. However is a word, is a conjunction that you use in order to contrast the first idea with the second one. Most people don't think twice about their caffeine intake. You don't think about. However, caffeine, a pesar de esto, so you are contrasting the idea. However, caffeine raises blood pressure and thus, what is thus? What you, sorry?
A pesar?
No, thus. De esta forma. So that brings you a consequence, all right? However, caffeine raises blood pressure and thus, por consiguiente, como consecuencia, increases the risk of heart disease. Okay, so in here you have two words, one to make contrast, however, and one to give a consequence, thus. If you think about those two words, are there any other that you remember in order to make contrast and to introduce a consequence? You use a lot of words sometimes and we don't know what we use them for. We just use them, sorry. But can you think about what is the objective of those words? Any other that you know that make a contrast, for example? However is one. What other do you use in order to make a contrast?
Despite?
Yeah, despite, one. However significa sin embargo, despite, a pesar. But is another one, but. Yeah, but. Now, if you, to give a consequence, you have in the thus, de esta forma. What other do you use normally? I would say that the most one, the informal one. So, por lo tanto, yeah. What other do you know which is similar to so?
In other words?
In other words, therefore.
On the other hand?
On the other hand, could be, yeah. Okay, so take a look at, I'm going to just show you, oh, I have to do a lot of things in here. I have here some pages which are for that in here. I think this one. Most common linking words. Yeah. For example, let's start by the beginning. And this is a very good page in order to know these words and know the way we use them. Most common linking words for comparison and contradiction. Comparison and contradiction. Read that example, read that introduction, Kimberly, please. Are you there, Kimberly? It seems that she's gone. What about Tiare? Read that, Tiare, please.
What was the question? Sorry.
Yeah, okay, you're there.
My mom was talking to
Read
me.
the first part, the introduction. Linking words.
Linking words or transitional words. Conjunctions are words or phrases that connect ideas or sentences within text. Using linking words helps your text more readable and allows the reader to comprehend the opinion or information you're representing.
Informative.
In this post, we're going to learn some useful linking words for comparison and contradiction.
Yeah. Okay. So when you use these words, especially when you write, it makes this word makes the article simpler to read, easy to read. Okay. Here you have some of the ones that we mentioned. For example, but read this, please, Tiare. But
But is a coordinating conjunction used to connect contrasting ideas. Coordinating conjunctions connect items which are the same grammatical type. For example, she always wants to be successful, but she is so lazy. I'm not sure what are you planning to do, but I will always support you.
all right. And here you are making a contrast. Okay. Wants to be successful. Anyway, she's lazy. Okay. So you have some others, for example, like however, nevertheless, although, even though, despite, in spite of, while or whereas, on the other hand, yet, by contrast, in contrast, on the contrary. Okay, so you have lots of words and with the examples. Okay, so today when I upload the class, I'm going to upload this for you to read it for next class. Okay, and then you will understand a little bit better which words we use in order to make contrast. Okay, and that will be all for today. That's all. I know that you have classes with Miss Patty today, so it's good. Stay a little bit in. I'm going to stop the recording, but I would like to talk to you a little bit. Okay? Can I? Just a little bit, please, please, dear students. Deja de and here.